Lewis Hamilton's Ferrari dream is turning into a fight for survival. Vasseur admits they underestimated the challenge. Leclerc eyes P2, and the stakes for 2026 have never been higher. Here's the full story. Ferrari boss Fred Vasseur has confessed that both he and Lewis Hamilton may have misjudged just how steep the climb would be for the seven-time world champion to adapt to life in Maranello after more than a decade with Mercedes. Hamilton's switch to Ferrari at the start of the season brought an end to a remarkable 12-year run with the Silver Arrows, a partnership that delivered 6 of his 7 world titles. Before that, every lap of his F1 career had been within the Mercedes-powered fold. First at McLaren, then at the Works team from 2013 onwards. Since donning the famous red, Hamilton has delivered glimmers of brilliance. A sprint race victory in China, plus 4th-place finishes at Emilia-Romagna, Austria and Britain. Yet, more often than not, Charles Leclerc has had the upper hand. Speaking to Formula One's official site, Vasseur admitted the sheer scale of the transition may have been greater than either expected. I think perhaps that we underestimate the challenge for Lewis at the beginning of the season, the Frenchman explained. He spent almost 10 years with McLaren and then 10 years with Mercedes. That's almost 20 years with Mercedes in the same environment. It was a huge change for Lewis in terms of culture, in terms of people around him, in terms of software, in terms of car, in terms of every single topic was a big change. Perhaps that we underestimate this, Lewis and myself. But I'm very, very pleased because the last 4 or 5 races he was back into the pace. Hamilton's adjustment to life at Ferrari hasn't been without its rough edges. The Briton's frustration was laid bare after the Hungarian Grand Prix, casting a shadow over his mood as Formula One headed into the summer break. When you have a feeling, you have a feeling. There's a lot going on in the background that is not great, he said, when asked to clarify comments he had made suggesting Ferrari might consider replacing him. Despite his blunt post-race remarks, Hamilton adopted a calmer, more measured stance during the team's debrief, shifting the focus toward using the break as a chance to reset and come back stronger. It's been a challenging weekend and one to move on from. We weren't able to make the progress we hoped for, but I'm grateful for the effort everyone in the team put in throughout the weekend. Now, we head into the break. I'll be using the time to reset, recharge, and come back stronger. I'm not where I want to be yet, but the fight's not over. Don't count me out. With Vasseur buoyed by Hamilton's recent flashes of form and the Briton intent on turning the tide, Ferrari heads into the season's second half with sharpened resolve. The true test now lies in helping Hamilton fully adapt to Maranello's distinct culture and technical ecosystem. A shift that both sides admit is proving more complex and time-consuming than first imagined. If his upward trajectory holds, the partnership could still blossom into the title-challenging force fans envisioned when the move was announced. Yet, as Vasseur's candid admission makes clear, this journey isn't just about raw lap times. It's about navigating a cultural transformation nearly 20 years in the making, one that may ultimately define Hamilton's legacy in red. Lewis Hamilton's Ferrari chapter risks becoming the darkest stretch of his glittering career unless he can rediscover his edge, and quickly. His blockbuster winter switch from Mercedes was one of the most hyped moves in modern Formula One, with fans eager to see him draped in Ferrari red. But fate had other plans. Hamilton's arrival has overlapped with a dip in Ferrari's form, leaving him just 6th in the drivers' standings with 10 races left in his debut season. Every lap now counts as he fine-tunes for 2026. Ferrari have already begun experimenting with his future car, determined to explore every possible avenue to hand him a title-contending machine. Martin Brundle's pre-season prediction that Hamilton would take time to settle has proved painfully accurate. In the meantime, Hamilton is pushing for greater influence over race strategy, wanting more control over his own destiny. But the stakes are high. If he can't close the gap to Charles Leclerc or rediscover his winning touch before the new regulations arrive in 2026, the road ahead looks bleak. While his contract runs through 2026 with an option for 2027, Hamilton may think twice about staying without a competitive package. After all, Kimi Räikkönen once admitted he was very happy to walk away from Maranello when the car wasn't up to scratch, an ending Hamilton will be desperate to avoid. Absolutely nothing, I felt. I was very happy to go. I'm sure I could have signed a contract, but it made no sense to me, and I had absolutely zero interest to be here. I was happy to go. I was very happy to go, with all the politics and nonsense and everything. Obviously, I had a contract and they paid me out of it. But I could have signed another contract on different teams, but had no interest. 14 races into his Ferrari tenure, Lewis Hamilton's best finish remains fourth place, a result he's managed 3 times. By contrast, in the first 14 rounds of 2009, Kimi scored 5 podiums, despite wrestling a car that, on pure pace, placed 10th or worse in each of its opening 3 outings. Back then, Ferrari clawed their way forward with meaningful upgrades. This year, Hamilton hasn't been so lucky. The updates to his SF25 have yet to deliver the same step forward, most notably the new rear suspension package, which coincided with one of his toughest weekends yet at the Hungarian Grand Prix. On paper, the numbers tell a story of near parity. Excluding sprints, Raikkonen had 90 points adjusted to the modern scoring system after 14 races. Hamilton sits only slightly ahead on 95. The parallels in their struggles are hard to ignore, and if Raikkonen eventually found relief in walking away, it may only be a matter of time before persistent underperformance tests Hamilton's patience too. On the other side of the garage, Charles Leclerc is adamant that Ferrari's priority right now should be locking down second place in the Constructors Championship, even if it comes at the cost of precious wind tunnel time for 2026. As the summer break begins, Ferrari sits firmly in second place with 260 points, chasing runaway leaders McLaren on 559. For Leclerc, the calculation is simple. Immediate success on track outweighs the long-term benefits tied to wind tunnel restrictions. Under F1's current rules, introduced in 2021 with the cost cap, the higher a team finishes in the standings, the less wind tunnel time they get the following year. A measure designed to level the playing field. But Ferrari's grip on second is anything but secure. With Mercedes, 236 points, and Red Bull, 194 points, lurking dangerously close. That makes the fight for podiums a season-defining battle. Speaking during the Hungarian Grand Prix weekend, Leclerc made it clear he'd rather have results now than gamble on future gains. I'm pretty sure it's better to finish second than third. However, as you said, there's also the wind tunnel time. This is not something we think of too much. When we are on track, we just want to finish as high up as possible, and then we'll deal with whatever amount of hours in the wind tunnel we have. We want to target the highest possible. Hamilton's Ferrari gamble is at a crossroads. Vasseur admits the struggle, Leclerc pushes for glory, and 2026 looms large. The fight's far from over, but time is running out. Stay tuned.